on the way up to the hospital to visit my mom. She was admitted last night, and hopefully we're going to be able to get her home here. I don't think it's going to happen today, but at this point it looks like they're still doing tests and stuff, and hoping that it'll be in the next couple days is what it looks like. So but speaking of health, I wanted to kind of tell you a story or whatever it is of my deal. Believe it or not, you wouldn't know it by the rock star appearance that you see in front of you, but I actually used to be a pretty successful sales and marketing person. Also used to work in the automotive performance industry for ProCharger, the supercharger manufacturer located here in Lenexa, Kansas. And that was actually the last company that I worked for. Ended up taking a trip down to Tennessee because my dad was sick, and he ended up having a prolonged illness, and then stay in the hospital, and he passed away, unfortunately. And shortly after that, shortly after it was about 7 years ago, I guess it was. I don't know if I said that. That all of a sudden, it's just kind of like the wheels came off health-wise. A lot of stuff that I just couldn't explain. My health deteriorated to the point to where, I just basically, not to exaggerate, but my life is a fraction of what it once was. Fatigue is a huge thing. Pain is a huge thing. All sorts of, there's a laundry list of random things, but basically it's rendered me unable to really sustain much of any activity for any period of time. It actually took me 3 years before I was able to get a diagnosis. That was 3 years ago, going to specialists in different places like that. Finally went to the Mayo Clinic and was diagnosed with CFS, which is myalgic encephalomyelitis, and the CFS is chronic fatigue syndrome. And I guess the good news was I had something I could call it. The bad news is that there's no cure for it. There's no treatment for it, and most doctors were convinced, at least up till here recently, and still across the board are convinced, that it's a mental condition, that it's something in somebody's head. So, but it has left me on disability since 7 years ago. So, I used to restore cars. I used to travel for work. I used to do all sorts of stuff, and all that stuff is now, it's like it wasn't even my life. It's like a dream or something, or like, a movie I watch or something to that effect. So, and believe it or not, there are people that are a lot worse off than I am. They're the most severe cases, find themselves 100% bedridden, unable to speak, unable to take care of themselves in any way. And granted, I don't want to give a false impression. I generally am not going to go in front of a camera on any day that I don't feel, up to it, because it's not real pretty. There's brain fog. I go from speaking intelligently to having trouble completing a sentence or coming up with the right words to say. So it's quite frustrating, but to say the least. But so that's a little bit about my condition, illness, whatever you want to call it. It's basically anything that I used to do as a hobby is gone. The time that I used to spend restoring cars, working on stuff. I don't know from one day to the next whether I'm going to have the energy or any other of the symptoms that are causing me to, like a lot of times, if I want to do something with my hands, then my hands swell up and they're so painful I can't even use them. And it's very, very hard for people to understand this condition unless they have it. Even my mom is the greatest person in the world. She understands more than anybody because she sees on a daily basis what the reality is. But when it comes down to it, even friends and family, they disappear because they don't know how to react. They don't know how to accept it, because it's not an easy thing to watch, especially if it's somebody that you care about. So, but anyway, I could go on and on about it for literally years, but I won't do that to you. Instead, I will just, since I'm looking for a parking spot around the hospital here, I will just go ahead and park, and we'll call this good. And I'll go back and see what it looks like, and we'll go from there. All right.